That's my secret, Cat. I'm always angry.
Alright. I ran out of patience. On the roost!
Hey everyone, Captain, big fan of Spider-Man.
Avengers! Assemble. Hello, Peter.
Hello and welcome to the Infinity Saga and Beyond, an MCU fan podcast. My name is Jordan Wiegand, and with me today is Matt Hartgrove.
Back and better than ever. Bigger than ever? Better than ever.
Better than ever, yeah.
Okay.
Don't know if we want to know if you're bigger than ever. But we're talking some Hawkeye episode 4, Partners, am I right? Directed by Burt and Birdie, written by Erin, Cancino, and Heather Quinn, and released December 8th of 2021 on Disney+. The synopsis here: secrets are revealed and hard truths emerge, culminating in a battle against two opposing forces. And what was your initial thoughts on this, Matt?
I have liked the show more. I know I wasn't here for episode 3. But episodes 3 and 4 were improvements. And I honestly, I really loved episode 4. Because it had, not only did it have Hawkeye and Kate talking about certain things from the past and kind of going into that detail, it did have a lot more information, or maybe I might be mixing up episode 3 too. I'm probably going to have a little thought of that in here, but you're starting to understand a lot more about Hawkeye's past. And obviously the ending of the episode I thought was great. I think there's a lot of excitement toward the end of the episode with what happens, not only just for the episode itself, but for going forward. And I actually liked how Hawkeye reacted to by the end. But I think it was the best episode.
Yeah, I think this one was another good episode. I think, I do think this has probably been, probably the most enjoyable of the Disney Plus series so far. I think that, I've been saying this to people, but I think that they've really nailed the mixture of comedy and, seriousness. I think that's been a perfect balance. You know, when you have, in episode 3, I talked about how great the scene was with the phone call conversation where, Clint can't hear his son, but, Kate's transcribing what's going on, and how nice of a moment that was. And then in this one, you get, her putting on, the Christmas party thing for him, and just kind of, taking a moment to breathe with the characters. Yeah. And not have to be, go, 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 go. And I think that this one has been, probably, the best at that regard. There's been some episodes of some of the Disney Plus shows where if it hits if it's going to slow down, it slows down. It goes a whole episode is slow. This is there's moments that are slow, but the thing keeps on moving. Yeah, I saw some people saying that this was a setup episode, and I guess I can see that, but I still think there was a lot in this episode that happened. More than just setup.
Yeah, I guess I didn't even think of it as a setup episode. I know it definitely toward the end, it sets up for a lot. I think more than just the rest of the series. I think it sets up, but it is a good point, because when you look at what the Marvel shows the Marvel shows that we've had, there's always been it really hasn't felt like Marvel to the greatest extent that we're used to, especially more recently, Thor, Thor 3 or Thor Ragnarok, I guess, and the Spider-Man movies, and I feel like Tony Stark and even I always forget Captain America's name.
Steve Rogers.
Steve Rogers. I always forget that.
Rogers musical.
But as time goes on, you see that comic relief, series moments, story progression all kind of work together. But I feel like with the other shows you've had, WandaVision was very mind bendy. Like it tried really hard to be complicated, but also simple at the same time. Falcon Winter Soldier, I think, just struggled. It tried to be, I think, funnier with the characters than they actually are. And Loki was, I loved Loki, but that had a lot of serious undertones in it, especially because of how big of a deal it is to the grander scheme. But yeah, this series, even the first couple episodes, it has felt more in line with what Marvel had been doing. Like what you just said, it has a lot of serious moments, but it has comic relief moments. It has moments where you think that they're normal people.
Right.
Which I guess to an extent also Hawkeye is one of the lone normal people that was a part of the Avengers. I mean, even can't even really say Bucky's normal because he's 100-something years old.
Yeah. I think that this is why I think it's doing so well in that regard. Is because what comic fans call it is the comic fans usually call it the street level crime fighters, which would be like typically Spider-Man, Daredevil, Luke Cage, Hawkeye. People that are not like usually going up against big level threats at times. They're doing more small gangs level stuff, which is what they usually call it. And then you have like your cosmic or your like more Avenger level threats that happen too. So this is focused on the more like ground approach, which I think works well with Hawkeye and introducing Kate Bishop as a whole. So I guess we can kind of dig a little deeper into this. So, we left off last time with Clint getting his own sword held up to his chin from Jack Duquesne, who we did not mention in the first two episodes. He is a comic book character, and I mentioned this in the last episode, but that one was just me on there, so I'm going to bring it up again here. His name is Swordsman, so now we know why he's so obsessed with swords. He is a swordsman, and that's why he's so good at sword fighting in the original, first two episodes that we saw. That was kind of more of an obscure character, I would say. But he has a connection to Clint in the comics. He like trained Clint how to become like good with a bow and arrow and sword and stuff. So, so interesting. I doubt that's the way they're going here because it seems like they don't know each other. But Eleanor and Jack recognize him as an Avenger, and Clint just they have like a lunch or dinner, I guess, together, and they find out that Kate is kind of helping him out with this thing, and Eleanor does not approve of this because she's worried about her daughter's safety. And maybe there's some other reasons why she doesn't want her daughter looking into this. But, right off the bat here, we're at, we kind of de-escalate that situation, which I kind of thought that's how that was going to go because, you have Kate in the room with them, so Jack's not going to just like straight up behead Hawkeye, and plus it's his show, so I doubt he's gonna die.
It's interesting watching their reactions actually to him being Hawkeye. It kind of is like, what is it like being this post Avenger character? Like the guys that were from the movie, obviously from the original Avengers. You see them and it's like, the way they react to him is that they almost act as like he's some like famous, obviously, he's, I guess, famous within, the MCU, but the way they react to him, it's almost like, oh my God, you're Hawkeye. Like, what is Hawkeye doing in our house? Like, but I guess I kind of liked seeing that because it humanizes them to an extent. Like, it makes it seem like they're just some celebrity, not this intergalactic fighter that is dealing with aliens constantly. I did like their reaction. I like that scene, seeing her. I like how he ended it with the mom. It seemed like it seemed like Hawkeye could tell something's weird with him. Like he could tell that there's definitely something up with the parents. He might not know it, but you could tell even from their goodbye reaction that he was like, he knows what he's doing, but he also understands subtle hints that there's something else going on besides just him dealing with the whole Ronin situation. That there maybe I kind of want the mom to be like the head of all of it. I don't know why, but I want her to be the head of the, like, even higher up than was it Myra?
Maya.
Maya. I want her to be higher up than her.
I think you're going to get your wish, honestly. I do think that she is, I think with how often she's trying to tell her mom that Jack is bad news, we know that Armand the Third thought that she was the one that was bad news. And maybe she's the one that got Jack involved in some of this stuff. As we'll find out when, Clint leaves, he gets his wife to look up Sloan Limited, which was the name of the company that they found that is what laundering money to the Tracksuit Mafia. And they, figure out that Jack Duquesne is listed as the CEO of Sloan Limited. So I do think that Eleanor is a big part of it. I think it's not to be a villain out of nowhere. I know, people are suspecting that Kingpin is in this, and I do think he probably will be. I think he's the uncle character that Maya is referencing, which probably makes him above Eleanor, but I think that Eleanor is going to be the main focus of this. It's Kate kind of coming, I think it's going to be a more personal story with that, Kate having to, kind of take down her mom, or, and she's never had a good relationship with her mom, so it's kind of like this interesting dilemma for her, because it's the only parent she has left, but if she's doing bad things, she's going to have to take her down, and I think that would be a very interesting way of kind of exploring that, familial relationship.
Yeah, I agree.
And at one point here, we also get Kate deducing that Ronan is actually Hawkeye, that he was Ronan. This is when they're in that Christmas party. But so let's talk about that. I guess she has heard on the phone that tonight was supposed to be a movie, the Christmas movie marathon, and she decides to try to cheer up Clint by bringing ugly Christmas sweaters, some Christmas, I guess, treats. Were cookies there? I'm not sure. And then they have like alcohol and right, they had alcohol, right? Yeah, and Christmas movies, and they're watching those and putting up a tree, which she brings in as well. And we see he's skilled with not just a bow and arrow, right? Like, he does this cool thing with like one of the ornaments where he's able to flip it and turn off the VCR and the TV or whatever, the radio, all in one go. And she wasn't originally believing he could do that. He's like, he was kind of talking it up beforehand, and then she was like, fine, if you won't do it, then we'll never know if you actually could. And then he does it, and she wants to learn how to do that. So we kind of get our first mentor moment for Clint, teaching Kate how to do something, which I thought was good fun. I like the chemistry of these two. I think they have really great mentor-mentee chemistry.
It's they work well together. And that could be down to the actors, it could be down to the characters. It's probably more the actor and actress working really well together in terms of the role, but you do see where she is going to be a Hawkeye apprentice, whether it's at the end of the show, that's kind of where she takes over, or next movies, but you can see where she works well with him. And to be honest, as the show has gone on, you can see him trusting her more and
opening up.
Whether it's,
and you see it immediately go back the other way again because of what we're going to see later in this episode. But what I guess Eleanor has kind of told him, makes him kind of, he's always been weary about how she's going to be and stuff. But once we reveal who the assassin that's after him is, he's worried for her safety, so he's kind of doing the whole, like, when
The dad thing.
Or in those movies when, like, you're trying to, they have to get rid of the dog for whatever reason, and they're like, go on, get out of here, and they have to, like, you're stupid, get out of here, I don't like you. That's kind of what it felt like.
I mean, I know we'll get to it, but, that falls in line with his character, though, because when you look at what's happened previously with movies, he, in accordance, I think it's the Sokovia Accords or whatever, he goes into retirement, or he doesn't want to be a part of the whole fighting any longer. Like, he is, and to an extent, a forefront. He's a family guy or a family man. Like, he cares about the safety of his kids. Like, that's his biggest thing. And he's kind of seen that in her as like, oh, like, not obviously fully as a child, but he can see it from a Hawkeye perspective. Like, this is kind of like my apprentice. This is like my daughter in a sense of Avengers. But that also is why he's at this point, he feels very protective of her, which at the end you'll see as to why he's like, now it's getting a little too far. Like, you should not be a part of this.
Yeah, and you can kind of think too about how, he kind of lost his family during the, flip. He's worried about, he doesn't want to be the reason why Eleanor wouldn't have her daughter,
Yeah.
But he's going to go and try to locate Kazi, and ask him to talk to Maya Lopez, try to get her to drop the whole Ronin thing, right? And I like this scene too when Kazi's like gonna reach for like a gun he has hidden somewhere and a knife he has hidden somewhere, and Clint's already got those out of there. I thought that was just great, showing like, we've talked a bit about how we haven't really seen Clint a lot. Like, he's in a little bit of Thor, he's in Avengers 1, and he's hypnotized or whatever for most of that. He's in Age of Ultron, and then he's in which had a big focus on him. Then he's a small part of Civil War, and then Endgame. So, like, really, we don't know him as well as we know the others. So being able to see him be like, okay, I know how to, cover myself, make sure that this guy's not going to have anything to kill me with. Getting that kind of stuff is good, I think, to kind of show that he's not just a bow and arrow guy. A lot of people make the joke about how useless he is and stuff, but he's got other skills that helps contribute.
It also kind of, when you're watching it seems like the whole Ronin thing can be just removed so easily. Not saying that other people aren't looking for Ronin, but there seems to be, because there hasn't been added attacking threats, added villains, besides just this tracksuit mafia. I thought there wasn't a possibility, like, maybe there's going to be more people because they hear, oh, look, there's the Ronin suit, like, this is Ronin. But to a point, it just seems like Ronin is almost like a legend at this point. Not like a good one, but like he's an urban legend. Oh, the Ronin's back, but no one's really going after him besides this one gang. And even he's like, hey, I'm not Ronin anymore. Like, I'm done with this. Tell her to stop. And he's doing it partially because they kind of have it out for Kate for being the one that was with him. They probably have an idea that maybe she's taking over for Ronin, or maybe she's going to be the new Ronin. But it seems like it's such an easy thing to just stop. Like, he doesn't want it anymore either. He's like, hey, you guys are the only ones after this Ronin character anymore. I'm not acting as Ronin anymore. The blip's done. I got my family back. I'm not going out trying to kill people. But he's also kind of like, if you keep going after me and Kate, like, I'm going to kill you.
Right.
So it's like he's offering them protection. He's like, I'm done with this. Like, you can stop.
Then he sends Kate to, go back to the LARPers and retrieve the arrows. Apparently his arrows got picked up by the cops or whatever, so he had to send her over to get the arrows, and she meets up with some of the LARPers. One of them that we already met, I forget his name, but the guy that, Clint defeated.
First, he seems to be the hero among LARPers.
Yes. Well, I mean, when you took down Hawkeye and Avenger,
no, like in general, like it feels like they're like even the other ones are like mystified. Like, oh my god, it's Hawkeye. Like, is that gonna be a normal guy who just is being playing the hero and he's not
why?
God of Thunder?
He's using swords and arrows. He's exactly what they want to be.
I think that's a cool little addition, making him like this big hero. Like, he's obviously a hero, but like toward these LARPers, he's their like god. Like, oh my god, this is
he's
Hawkeye.
Like doing LARPing in real life. That's what they see him as. But also there's a nice moment in that Christmas scene we didn't get to talk about though, where she asks him the best shot he ever took, and he makes reference to the shot he didn't take, and you kind of know where it's going because they've talked about it a few times in the past about how, he was supposed to kill Natasha and he didn't, and we kind of get more of the full story here that like he could tell she wanted out, he didn't take it, and it became one of his best friends who he lost, and he's still struggling with losing Matt at this point. We saw that at the Rogers the Musical, where she's not even really her, but dancing on stage, and he has to excuse himself, and just kind of like just a reminder everywhere,
Yeah.
And he gets another reminder later that we'll talk about. But yeah, I like that he was able to bring that up, and it shows that he was willing to open up to Kate. Like he, I don't think he tells her that in episode 1 if she was to ask. He'd be like, "You're going home. Like, get out of here." Or episode 2, I guess. But yeah, it's nice to see the development between them as well, because even in this episode 2, when he gets the information about Jack, he tells her, "Your instincts are great." Because there's something, he's tied to this stuff, and that I think gives her a little bit of ego boost as well with it.
Yeah.
But Laura, his wife, is going to call him and let him know that the watch was stolen by the Tracksuit Mafia. So apparently there was when he was asking about Jack Duquesne, she was also asking about the watch, and apparently that can somehow tie back to somebody else that is going to be in danger. So I wonder if we'll get more information about what this watch is.
I didn't realize that they had made many comments about it. It was just this Rolex watch, but they didn't really go into further detail, or unless I missed it.
Yeah, they mentioned the Rolex. They mentioned that I'm not sure if it's has a transcription on the back or an encryption on the back that is relevant, or somehow can be tied to somebody. I'm not really sure what that's supposed to.
Tony Stark is the only one I would think would own a Rolex.
Well, some people have the theory that it somehow is tying back to Laura, and that she maybe used to be in the game at some point with Shield, but I'm not sure because she does seem to have. She does have some sort of connection. She's able to look into stuff for him, and she mentions it's like she kind of knows what his life is like with that. So I mean, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, it seems like the big rumor, or the big fan theory, does appear to be Laura.
But I don't know if she'd wear that type of watch. So I'm not really sure. I'm not sure how that. It looked like a male's watch, not like a. Like you said, it's a Rolex. It's not. It didn't look like a female Rolex or something. So I don't know. Okay. But they're gonna try to go after this watch. It's giving a signal from an apartment building, and Clint and Kate are gonna do some scouting from across the street on it, and we're gonna see. We're gonna see. She thinks it would be easier if they were up on a higher building, but he says the needing to escape is always better. A quick escape is always better than an easy entrance or whatever. So, and it'll come in handy for her when she's inside of here and gets caught and has to go across. If she had to go upwards, she'd be in a little bit more of a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was wondering, okay, is this... I was kind of let down that it was Maya's apartment, because at first I was thinking, it was going to be somebody else that had it at that point. But I guess it makes sense that she would have the watch. we saw one of the Tracksuit Mafia people get it, I think, during the auction, so it would make sense it would go to her. And, I thought it was interesting how, instead of going across the thing, Kate just goes through the door. She helps the guy with his groceries, and she scares the guy off. I love this part where she's like, it's an Avenger talking to me, and he's like, I'll just take that bag from you. I'm almost home. I'm good to go. Because it does sound crazy, like she's just a normal looking girl.
And she, her as an actress though, I think works really well in regards to like she has a similar, it's like a cocky, smart, but also sarcastic attitude, very Tony Starkish. Not obviously full extent of him, but like there's a certain type of character that works well, I think, in the MCU, and when you get characters like her, those are the ones that are more enjoyable to watch because they are generally smart, they think ahead, but then they'll also like just use their own wits to kind of get themselves out of situations or also get themselves out of talking issues. And I think that she's done really well as Kate Bishop in the sense as to they pick the right person. And I've never seen her. I honestly have never seen anything she's been in.
Yeah. Have you seen Pitch Perfect, right?
Pitch Perfect. Sorry, I knew that. I knew that. I said that, and I was like, wait a second.
I also saw her in True Grit, which was back in 2010. She was young then, though. She was like a kid.
It's the name of my college's mascot, True Grit. That's what
really
UMBC. Yeah, that's the golden retriever is called True Grit.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, she was in that movie as a kid, like a teenager, 12-year-old, 13-year-old, something like that. And then, yeah, I knew her from Pitch Perfect too.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think I've seen her in anything else there other than those two things, but yeah, she's been good. She's been really, really good in this. And it's good that she's Hawkeye for the rest of the MCU at this point so far. And
yeah, it's important that as we transition into the next round of main cast, that they're getting it right, because I think a lot of people resonated with maybe not resonated, but you had the Team Iron Man, Team Cap, you had the whole which side are you on? But those were characters people obviously we watched when they came out, and we're like, oh my god, this is great! I want to see the next Iron Man movie, I want to see the next Captain America movie. So it's a very important part right now to make sure that the characters that are transitioning into the newer roles, you're able to enjoy kind of the same. Obviously, we still have Thor, we still have the Guardians for a little bit, but even just Spider-Man, he came in later, and Tom Holland is now. I mean, that movie is going to probably be one of the highest. It will probably be the highest since COVID has started, because it's
projected for $250 million. I think opening weekend. It's already sold $40 million for the first weekend, at least. With the pre-sale tickets, they're saying that they've already sold in that first day or two that it was on sale $40 million, which is insane.
But and even Shang-Chi, I really enjoyed him as a character. He meshed really well into it. So, Eternals was a little different. I don't know that I have my own issues, but some positives. Because I also don't feel like any of those characters are going to play huge roles going further, because it seemed very by itself, but also kind of important.
Well, Cersei will probably play a role. She was an Avenger at some point, so I think she will. I think she will at some point.
We didn't get a lot of Kit Harington, and obviously he kind of came out of that movie as seemingly the most important future character. But yeah, if she has to take over, if she is the new Hawkeye, which she is technically, if we go by comics and probably movie, TV show wise, it's important that we watch it and assume or feel like she can take over that role. And I have no issues with it. I perfectly feel like she is taking over the Hawkeye role, and as she kind of continues on into the series, you've seen that progress as well. That part's fun to watch from that perspective.
Yeah. So then we get in the apartment. She gets in there, the alarm goes off, and it's like a silent alarm that flashes lights for people that are, deaf. And she tries to cover them up with like the Play-Doh or gooey arrows, but it's kind of too late. But she does find a list of them also, like writing down his whole family, Clint's family, which is concerning. So she is relaying that back to Clint, but then he starts getting attacked by somebody, and he thinks it's Maya, and he says, well, Maya's out here with me, and she's like, no, Maya's in here with me, and starts fighting, and, you're wondering, who's it going to be? But I think, for me, it was pretty obvious who this was going to be.
It was obvious for me because it got spoiled earlier in the day.
Oh, did you? Dang.
I haven't had many issues with spoilers for the show. I really haven't. And I didn't even think. I just got on Twitter. I was like, I'm not going to see anything. Like, I haven't really seen people talk much Marvel on my Twitter feed. And then it was just like right there. And I was like, crap. And I was like, okay. But then I realized it made a lot of sense.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense too, because we were kind of set up with this from the Black Widow end credit scene.
post
So I
credit.
was waiting for her to come in here at some point. So that's why it was kind of on my head. And then she even does kind of like the superhero pose like Black Widow does when she like starts landing on the roof. And that's right, it's Yelena from Black Widow.
Do you think after Kate says that Maya's in the apartment that Hawkeye has a sense as to who it is?
Yeah, I think so. And I think when especially when she uses it seems like the way it was shot, I'm not sure if he does right away. It's like when she uses her like stun thing, it looks like he notices then. Like I thought there was like something on his face that was
red,
like yeah, where he's like, oh, okay, I'm dealing with a Black Widow. I think that's kind of what gave it away to him, because I'm not sure what else, or maybe maybe this has. I don't know. I was gonna say maybe she's been after him for a while, but I guess not.
Well, that's interesting, because Rachel had said something to me. Was Yelena blipped?
That's a good question. I don't think so. I'm not sure. I mean,
like it's an interesting question, isn't it? Because we weren't sure. And that would make a lot of sense as to why she's just now. Maybe not like what. So in the
when was the scene where Val? Well, you know what, that scene happens after Endgame because they have the tombstone for her. She's visiting the grave, so she wouldn't have had a reason to go after him. Before she was dead, which would have been during the blip. So I think maybe she's been around, but I don't know. I'm not sure if it matters.
Yeah, it's just like it is. It's definitely just an interesting thought process. Like, what's obviously we know why she's going after him now.
Yeah,
she's getting told hey, he killed her, which is obviously we know is not true. But I love his reactions to it because it's like I personally feel like the only people that knew Black Widow and Hawkeye were each other. Like, they knew their situations. Like, he's gonna know who this is. This is Black Widow's sister. This is Yelena. And you can tell he's at the end of that fight when he tells Kate no. He's like, this is way over your head now. You're not gonna be able to deal with this. And I don't think a lot of people really know anything about these Black Widows. This isn't some common knowledge situation. He's Ronin, but these are not the people you want to deal with. And I just really enjoyed how he kind of told her that. He was just like, hey, this is not something you want to deal with. This is bigger. This is real big time Avengers level threat type of stuff.
Right. And I thought it was funny too, we kind of get this Vormir, parallel, right, where she's falling off of the roof and he goes over the edge and and he's able to kind of get her because she's caught by the rope. But you know, like it's almost a parallel where the way it's shot looks like the way Clint looks when Black Widow lets go. You know, and it's almost like he gets to kind of make up for it here, but he's going to cut her down and say, "Get out of here!" And I just love how she just goes right back into the building and goes up the stairs. You know, she's like, "I'm not leaving just because you told me to. I'm going to do what I can to help." But you know, at the end, it ends with that conversation, right, where he says, "Like, this is a Black Widow assassin who was put on me by somebody, and plus we're dealing with all this other stuff. Like, it's too dangerous for you. You got to get out of here. I'm doing this alone." And you know, I think she won't listen to that either. I mean, I think she will go home, but she'll probably at some point decide that no, I have to go out there and help him again. And
oh dear, she will go after her. Like, there's no way that she doesn't. It's not in her character either.
Right. Well, how about this too? And there's a little Easter egg with he had the Thanos was right mug in the apartment while he was drinking. As
I
well.
did see that.
So
I wonder what the basis behind that is. Like, why are they putting that in? It's not Mephisto.
Well, yeah, it's also because people have made like a Reddit account for it, like a Reddit thing that called like r/Thanos did nothing wrong or whatever. So I think they're kind of playing off of that, you know, that whole thing, saying like, oh, you know, fans are saying this, you know, people are out here actually saying this. So there would actually be people in the real world who would probably agree with Thanos.
Oh, 100%.
So yeah, I do think it is funny that
his idea is not the worst idea. It's just how he goes about it.
Right. He kills half the world. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess anything else in episode 4 here? We only got 2 episodes left, so what do you expect here in the final 2?
God, I don't even know, really. I think it's almost like, one, I get every prediction wrong, so I just know whatever I say is not going to happen. Or maybe it's like, it could be just as simple as the last couple episodes focus more on Yelena and her issue with Hawkeye and Kate learning more about his past. By the end of it, he's cleared Ronan's name and he goes away with his family, and you know, Kate's taken over for the Hawkeye role, and you know, Yelena realizes he wasn't the one that killed Black Widow. And it seems like the easiest route to go because this isn't a 2-season show, right? Like, this is just 1 6-episode season.
Far, I think that's what I was going to ask. Do you think we get another season, but it's just Kate, and we can kind of continue her here until she gets in a movie at some point?
We could. That would make,
because it's not like this shouldn't take a huge budget for a show. I mean, it's arrows and stuff. Like, it's not like you know, this is like you need Hulk or something.
This is kind of it's like it is more of a regular type of show compared to what they've done for the other characters. I could see it. I personally don't think, I think the one option that won't happen is a second season with Jeremy Renner, because I feel to an extent he's ready to, like, similar to, you know, Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr., like, these guys are ready to move on from the MCU. They've been doing this for 12, 13, 14 years. And it's time for the next batch of people to be taking over. So I don't think he would do a second season, which is why I think by the end of the season, Ronan's name is gone. Like, his role as Ronan, what he did is done. It's just going to be dependent on where does Yelena fall into it. Does she start going after Kate? And it's kind of like, okay, I don't believe you, but also this seems to be the person you're caring for and taking over. I'm going to now take my issue out on her. Or maybe there's like a little love thing between the two of them, because I read somebody made some comment that, like, Kate and Yelena, they could be like a little couple. I read something like that. I swear.
I do think they'll probably be like the next, you know, they're both the next iteration of Hawkeye and Black Widow. So I think they will have a friendship at least that kind of gets to that. Yeah, I expect some sort of resolution with Yelena. I expect Jeremy Renner, you know, Clint Barton to make it home for Christmas in these next 2, and I do think that he will be done. I want to see him get his retirement for sure, and I want to get, then Kate kind of stepping into that role, and that's what I kind of expect from these last two episodes.
The only thing I'm not certain that what I want or even expect is with the Tracksuit Mafia. I don't like. I know Maya. She's a relatively decent character comic book wise, so I know that she could easily have a future within the MCU, or maybe not easily.
Yeah, she's got a show too. Yeah, she's got a show coming out. Yeah.
But so with that, and to that extent, it's almost like I'm not even certain how much I really need any resolution with them. I feel like they're just gonna kind of come to terms with him no longer being Ronin by the end of it, and then they'll go on to her show and whatever issues or new person they go after. But the last two episodes, I think I would almost prefer it be more focused on Hawkeye dealing with finally getting rid of the Ronin background and getting, like you said, back home for Christmas and retiring, while also getting Yelena to know, hey, that's not what happened. This was the situation. He's obviously not going to go into oh yeah, we went to Vormir and we went back in time and we did that to get all the stones and we were the ones that got chosen. He's not going to go full detail, but it would be nice to have him resolve that situation. Then I guess that also goes into play as to how does she get back into the Julia Louis-Dreyfus character? What's that going to do to affect that? Which could be different ramifications. I don't know. By the end of it, I just hope Hawkeye is. It would be nice to have his story end on a high note on the show. That's, I think, maybe the main thing I want.
Definitely. All right, yeah. So I think that about wraps us up here. We got 2 episodes left of Hawkeye, so we'll be talking those as they come out. But other than that, if you want to email us, you can reach us at marvelplusrecaps@gmail.com, Twitter at TO Infinity Saga, Facebook.com/Infinity Saga Beyond. And thanks for listening and have a great rest of your day.